Well, and let's go back to the Black Business Council Summit, where my colleague Katleho Likhodi is on standby with the Minister of Energy and Mineral Resources, Gwede Mantashe. Katleho, over to you.
A very good morning to you, Eldrin. The minister is just getting off the podium and he's actually addressing the media as we speak right now on the just energy transition. Let's go in right now.
The obstacles. Business are allowed to take part in all activities of business. In my sector, in mining and in energy. That's why you'll find out that now on the new renewable energy, there are companies that are wholly owned by South Africans and there are companies that are black owned. And in mining, you are having major mining companies that are owned by black people. So there's a growing presence of black business in the space of business, and we're encouraging that. And what we are trying to emphasize to every time we talk to them, black business is not a charity. Black business must put the skin on the fire to build their business, build their wealth, and then enjoy it. That's it.
And coal has been the theme over the last 2 days. One of the things that you said this morning is we can't breathe in the dark. And black businesses, as you just said, still have major potential in untapping that. So how do we balance that just transition with coal?
I don't know. I've seen a number of European countries retreating from their position. Sweden, for example, declared that they would be dependent only on renewables 100%. They have changed that position. They are discovering in the field that they need base load. And that's why they say that policy is now changed. And a number of countries in Europe are beginning to drift back to fossil fuel and coal. And it will happen with us as well. We're still excited now. We want to switch off coal now and think that everything will go well. I think part of the load shedding that we're experiencing was an effort to move out of coal quicker than we could. And as a result of that, we allowed many of the Eskom coal generating power stations to collapse under our nose because we thought that they're a dirty product and the result was darkness.
And Minister, just finally, South Africa's natural gas reserves remains largely untapped, and we're seeing those large international companies such as Russia's Gazprom looking to really partner with African countries, and South Africa being at the center of that. How are we working, government and private sector, because it is quite finance heavy? How are we getting, those skills to black businesses so that they can also be part of that boom?
If they partner with majors, they will acquire the skills and grow into them. Many of the major black companies today started as partners. They are today major companies. And it will happen in the energy, to happen in any other sector. So they must partner with those companies. Energy, let's say gas and oil in South Africa remains untapped. And with a lot of it, we're beginning to sense the presence of gas and oil in the country. We must exploit it. We'll change the economic performance.
Minister, thank you so much.
Minister, also talking about the issue of the bid windows, encouraging businesses here to also take advantage of that as well. Maybe let us in on how are we faring on that end in terms of bid windows 7 and 8 that will then see it just coming out to the public.
I can talk about bid window 6, where 49% was South African. Which is a major progress from 0 to 49. We are continuing to improve on that in the area of South African companies participating in the renewable energy space. We are encouraging it. We know that it's not about wishing, it's about access to capital, it's about access to skills, it's about support you get to do it. And we're hoping we'll improve on that.
What have been your concerns? Because you're talking about the just energy transition just being just and equitable, that it must put the needs of South Africans first if we are to tap into that space. What have been your concerns as the department? My concern is when we put a lot of emphasis on decarbonization at the expense of energy poverty. And if we're not paying attention to energy poverty, we just focus on decarbonization, we are going to have a different crisis into the future. As we deal with decarbonization, we must address energy poverty, allow our people to access electricity at an affordable price.
You can't have people in the villages having access to electricity, but they use it for lighting. For space heating and cooking, they still use wood and paraffin. That must change.
Just the last one on my end, Minister, you are confident that going into the elections next year, we'll see the lights on and load shedding just a thing of the past. Can you just brief us on that? How confident are you that at least next year we'll see electricity or the lights on during the elections?
I'm very confident on the work done by Minister Ramkhopa. I'm monitoring that space. I keep out of it. I don't want to see a stampede in that space, but I'm quite happy because he's paying attention to electricity availability factor, power station by power station, which is what we have been saying all along. It's beginning to show the differences in the level of load shedding in the country. He is also talking about emergency procurement, buying electricity from the neighboring countries. He's doing all those things. That is the correct approach to dealing with load shedding. And if we persist on that, we'll overcome it.
Politics?
Politics is politics. They will always persist.
Minister from ENCA, I just wanted to touch on the exploration fund that was established by the department and the kind of investment you're looking to get in. How difficult do you anticipate it will be given the pushback from environmental activists and other stakeholders that don't necessarily want to see the exploration for certain minerals or resources?
Europe has declared that there will be no green future without the confidence in the African mineral capacity. And I believe that is correct because all the critical minerals that are cited as necessary for moving to green economy are in Africa. So the mining will happen. All that we must learn together with environmentalists is to appreciate that development must never be stopped. It must coexist with environmental care. We must mine, we must be careful, we must not mess up the environment, but we cannot stop development because we want to breathe fresh air in darkness. We can't do that. We must do both. And therefore, I think we'll continue mining and we'll continue exploring gas, we'll continue exploring oil, because as we move past the transition, what is called fossil fuels are going to re-emerge as a major contributor to energy, mixed with renewables and other clean technologies.
Minister, you spoke about a fund, an energy fund, to fund businesses that want to get into the renewable energy space. Have you been having conversations with businesses who'd be able to contribute to that fund and making sure that they get that funding?
Actually, the most available fund is green funding. Anybody who is in the renewable energy space find it easy to get money. If you want to develop coal, you will struggle to get funding, okay? But business people have a responsibility to actually tap into the potential and identify where potential is.
All right. That is, of course, the Energy and Mineral Resources Minister, Gwede Mantashe. He's in a hurry. He has to go to the airport as we speak right now, but just really delivering that keynote address here, just talking about the just energy transition, if I may, and just looking at just getting the best and just saying that it should be in line with the country's national development plan. Eldrin, it's back to you in studio.